You won the Pittsburgh Pro. You did the Olympia. You took third. Actually, you did the Ironman before the Arnold. You were fifth there. You were third at the Arnold. Then you won the Pittsburgh. You were third at the Olympia, and then you went on and you did 6 European Grand Prix tours. You came in second in England. What happened there?
Let me tell you what happened there. It was a really good story. Now, a lot of people put their nose up in there once they hear it, but I'm going to tell you because I have to tell you.
Because you won all the other ones. How could you lose that one?
I came into Dorian's front yard, and Albert Beckles, to this day, we just laughed because I was knocking these shows off, and I was really happy. So at the end, Wayne D'Amelio says to me, well, no, you're going to England now. We're going to Dorian's. Where did he put it? We're going to Dorian country. So I looked at Albert, and Albert looked at me and said, Dorian, we're going to Dorian's country. He said, no, Vince, you're going to Dorian's living room.
because just for a point of interest, Dorian wasn't Mr. Olympia yet.
He had just nailed it, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I thought 92 he won the first one in Helsinki, didn't he?
Well, that's when I busted up my eye. He definitely won that one.
Yeah.
But at 93, he was definitely the winner. He was sitting back waiting for us to come to him.
No, he was second at the Olympia that year.
Okay.
That was the last Haney victory.
Okay, well, good then. Yeah, that was another race I should have won, and I thought I did win that. Yeah. A lot of people thought I won that. I got another standing ovation behind the posing when I was able to look at the scores at the end. Of course, my whole conception of bodybuilding was 3 rounds. Muscularity, there's a shape round, of course, there's a posing. Right. Well, Dorian got the muscles, I got him more in shape, and I know damn well he can't beat me posing, so I'm up 2-1. But it never came out like that. I never won the posing round in bodybuilding.
Yeah, you know what? Because I always asked that too, because I always wondered how some of these really good poses lose the posing round. Then I found out that they don't really score the routine. It's like another validation of scoring.
Exactly.
So
fooled me.
Yeah, well, I think that's why they got rid of it, because they never really had a good method of scoring in it, and people just couldn't understand that the best poses were placing number 1, number 2, number 3, that kind of thing.
And I was disappointed because that was my game plan. I sat down with every show and I went and I used that same formula with every guy I matched up with, and it didn't seem to matter unless it was the guy that was above you.
Right.
If it was anybody below you, the same determination I had, 1, 2, 3 rounds, that's the way it came out. It's just you're never going to beat the guy who's posing, who's ahead of you. I mean, Dorian got perfect scores in posing. Come on.
Right. I mean, it gets kind of wacky. Actually, what was really wacky was in 92, you won the Ironman, the Arnold, the Pittsburgh Pro, and then you were 6th at the Olympia. That one I never understood either. What happened that year?
My Olympias were all, I got to tell you, my Olympias became personal. Every time I went to the Olympia, something was not going to be right. And I don't know what it was. I've always looked at Wayne with 2 different looks at times when Olympia came around. But, something always came up. To this very day, I don't know. Did I deserve it? Probably.
What happened the year you had the eye patch on?
Oh, God, thank you for asking me that.
Because a lot of people have asked me that, and I forgot the story. I don't even know if I know the story.
Let me be the first, and I thank goodness that you bring that up, D, because a lot of people don't understand that. And sometimes when you're flipping online and you see some of these flippant comments and different blogs about this person, oh yeah, Vince in the eye patch, and this faker and this and that. What actually happened was my wife and I, when we got on the plane headed to Helsinki, as you know, we just had the hurricane down here, Hurricane Andrews down in Florida, just bought a new home, so training and concentration was all screwed up. But when we got on that plane and we headed over to Helsinki, as soon as we made it to the airport, we landed, and I stood up and opened the overhead bin to take my luggage down. And I always carried a black, long-strapped sport bag, like most did. Mm-hmm. And the strap that goes over your shoulder, that little patch area, it was on the top of the bag. When I flipped up the cabin to open it up, that flap tumbled out. It just swung down, and it swung back and smacked me straight in the eye. Oof. And for a minute there, it was like, wow. So I just dropped right down on my seat, held my eye, and it was like, whoa. So my wife, of course, she asked me what's wrong. I said, that strap, hit me in the eye. And by the time we got getting off the plane, my eye was just burning like crazy. I couldn't blink it. Right. We got our luggage. We were on our way back to the hotel. And I was telling my wife, is there something in my eye? She kept looking. She says, no, absolutely not. I said, there's got to be something in my eye, because when my eyelids come together, it burns like crazy. So it just got worse and worse hour to hour. By midnight that evening, I was sitting up in the chair literally crying. I couldn't blink my eye. I had sat there with both the two fingers, my thumb and my next finger, holding the eyelids open so they would not close on that one area because it was just excruciating pain. We wound up going to the emergency room late that night, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. The doctor gave me some kind of drops I could put in my eye. He said it felt like Vaseline. He said, listen, I think you have a slight tear on your cornea.
Oh, boy.
Okay? And what I think you need to do is be very careful. Take these drops, and we'll see what happens in the morning when you come back. So we waddled our way back to the hotel. Now, mind you, we're in Helsinki, Finland. My wife is going around the city trying to find some first aid. Not a single member of the IFBB came to the room to check on me except for Jim Mannion afterwards, maybe that next morning.
Wow.
The whole entire day afterwards, I'm sitting in a
You think they would have had a physician on staff or something like that in case you guys had problems?
That's the same area where Momo Benaziza went down to.
Oh, really?
The following show.
Wow.
So speaking of having some sort of oversee all, going on in this game, didn't happen. And we sat, and I say, my wife and I, she sat with me in that room, and I'm telling you, for 2 days, I didn't even sleep. And then when I finally had another physician come to my room, which was mid-part through the second day, he gave me some eye drops. And he told me I can use them twice a day. Only twice a day. It's going to numb the eye, which was fantastic. He put them in my eye, David. It was beautiful. Man, I could close my eye, man. Oh, my God. So the first thing I did, you're here for the Mr. Olympia. You need to go do something because these guys are getting ready, carving up, doing whatever they need to do the last 3 days, and you just spent 1.5 days sitting in a chair holding your eyeball.
So you weren't eating nothing?
I wasn't doing anything. The pain had me nailed to a chair. I got those drops in. It worked instantly. I was so happy. He told me it'll last about 30 minutes. I didn't really pay attention to that. So I told my wife, come on, let's go. I put on my routine mind. Put my baggies on. We got on the little train and shot straight to the gym. Did the bicycle, about 20 minutes. And somewhere about 20, 25 minutes, the eye started getting slightly irritated.
Oh, boy.
And, man, let me tell you, we walked out of that gym, and that thing hit me because those drops wore off.
Oh,
30 minutes and about 10 seconds. And it was like it happened all over again. I literally, walking down the street, buckled my knees, my wife grabbed my arm, and the doctor had placed a patch over my eye, a big old white gauze with some tape.
Oh, my God, which looks real attractive, right?
So I go back to the hotel, and I'm talking to Wayne, and Wayne finally saw Wayne, and I'm like, I can't go on stage with this patch on my eye, so can I wear sunglasses? And Wayne looks at me and says, no, because they're props. I'm like, oh, my God. So what did I do? We went to the pharmacy. We found an eye patch, but the patch itself and the rubber elastic around the patch held the patch so closely to my eye that my eyebrows would press into the eyeball, and that would just create that sensation of pain again. So I had to pack some gauze around my eye patch and stuck it on my eye just to keep the distance so I can literally see out of one eye. And that's what I was doing. I had one eye vision for the last 2 days, even on stage, trying to compete under those conditions.
Not to mention the stress and the cortisol levels that were probably through the roof because of all this.
It was ridiculous. You saw my physique. It wasn't what I wanted to bring to Helsinki in the first place because of stress, and it certainly wasn't anything I could correct when I was there. And having that injury to my eye, which later, after we finished the contest, the doctor told me, I think you need to go back to where you came from, which is the U.S., because your eye could be infected or get more infected, and you could lose an eye. So we jumped on the train and went back to Berlin, got some attention in Berlin, and that was the end of that story. But I hate it to this moment when I see people write some garbage about, well, Vince was faking it, look at him, and I'm thinking, oh, but you're never supposed to, take serious what you read, right?
They don't know what a fierce competitor you are. First of all, you were never a guy who showed up out of shape. You were never a guy who fake it or pull like what Flex Wheeler did with the ninja stunt. That wasn't you. They don't know that you were serious when you competed. You never
exactly. But that's since you mentioned that was exactly one of the captures on Get Big that I was sometimes flims through, which I can't stand that site anymore. It's garbage. It started off as being an inlet to bodybuilding. Like, wow, it got hijacked by some. I will leave it at that. But it's someplace I don't even consider.
It's a very negative environment. Yeah.
But they said the same thing. Vince Taylor's eye patch, Flex Wheelers, ninjas. What else is a bodybuilder? I'm going like, if I could find this guy.
I didn't know what happened. So, I'm glad that you told us the story because I've seen you compete. You're very, very serious when you're at shows and you take it seriously. It's never flippant for you or anything like that. And that's why, it is and we could call it like it is, because when you see some of these Masters guys on stage, it reminds me of watching Evander Holyfield, who's still trying to fight at almost 50 years old. You're like, man, this guy was a warrior. He beat some of the best boxers of all time, Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis, and then you see him losing to like these journeymen. It's almost like it's kind of pathetic in a sense.
And that's the wind blowing through the auditorium I told you about. Yeah. When you're standing on stage and somebody's going, "Keep it strong, Vince." You're not alone. He's got a diehard fan out there. But
you know what I'd like to see? Maybe she should hold a Return of the Legends, but don't judge it on how you look. Maybe judge it on your posing routine. See who could come up with the most creative posing routine of some of the best posers of all time.
I think that would be a good initiative, and at the same time, bring back your look. Okay, how closely can you resemble the look that you had? Right. Make it some sort of goal to reach. Just don't compare it to somebody 15 years younger and put you on stage and say, "Okay, guys, go at it."
Right. Well, they had this Best Comeback Award, which I thought was a good idea when I first heard about it. She gave out $20,000 for the Best Comeback Award. I mean, that's way more than most purses, first place purses in shows. And I was led to believe that it was going to be voted on by the legends, like the guys like yourself and Dorian and Ronnie and all the top guys were supposed to vote on this. From what I understand, that's not the way it worked out. And I was a little miffed, I don't know if you were, by the fact that they gave it to a guy, Bill Wilmore, who was a real nice guy, but he was a guy who placed third last year in a pro show and qualified for the Olympia. I didn't really know what the comeback was all about. Did you?
Well, let me add to that, because I had gotten an interesting message on Facebook from a friend of mine who happened to be Roland Sherlock from Germany. Mm-hmm. Okay, and Roland was in the show, and he was very upset that he didn't win the Best Comeback Award. And he fired me an email, and he said to me, "Vince, I don't know if these guys got you by both ears or what, but for these guys to vote this guy for the best comeback when I gave my all," and he went through this whole list of everything he was doing. And I'm thinking, okay, why are you telling me this? And he says to me, "How could you justify voting for him?" And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? I didn't vote for anybody. So he came back to me, "So yes, you did. I have a letter here from Sean Ray that says that all the legends, including Vince Taylor, voted for Bill Wilmore." And I said, "Well, let me freeze this for you right away, okay, before you say something that you don't understand. Number one, I had nothing to do with the event. I sat in the lobby. I watched 5 minutes of the prejudging and left. Did not see any of the evening show. I would stay about 30 minutes and left. For somebody to say I judged a show was totally lying." So now he would apologize to me. I think he fired a letter back to Sean. He's all upset because he knew he should have won. Yeah. Should he have won or not, D, I don't know. But I certainly didn't appreciate my name being in the mix of associating I vote. I had nothing to do with it.
We asked a couple other of the legends there, and no one that I know of actually voted for anyone. So I don't know where they came up with Bill Wilmore. Like I said, once again, Bill's a nice guy and everything, but I mean, I actually probably would have voted for Roland Sherlock because the guy missed 11 years in the gym. He didn't train for 11 years, and then in 1 year he came back. I guess Jarka had contacted him 1 year prior, and he trained for 1 year. And I thought, he didn't look like he did back when he competed, but he certainly looked probably the best conditioned guy on stage.
And he gave an effort, and that's how most of them Germans do. They go full blast, and he was really upset.
Well, that's what the Best Comeback is about. It's about someone who is out of the game and made a comeback. I mean, you could have technically won that too if you had come back and looked great.
My thing is this: what happened, I believe, by name, Jarka had a fantastic idea, but I believe by association to the help that she was getting, I would like to say that she probably got led down that road to have this particular event, and this is how we're going to do it. I don't believe she put those criteria forward, and that person who put those criteria forward, who actually probably moved the show right along and took credit for a lot of the show's progress, I believe you can point a finger that way. But if she rolls with me next year, like I told her, you call the legends promoted by Jarka and Vince Taylor, okay, I'll be there to pose, and we can make sure we got the rules and regulations right.
So you're saying Sean Ray had some play in this little bit of
Sean's
controversy?
A powerful guy.